Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. It's me. I'm Stev, Steve, Steven, however you want to call me. Doesn't matter. Um, and hopefully, Nessie will be joining us soon. I did that thing where I was going to copy paste the link, and I copied it, and then I'm like, oh, I got to do this first, and then forgot to send her the link. So I have sent her the link, and hopefully, she'll be joining us very soon. That's just me falling on my face, like you do sometimes. So my apologies. Hopefully she'll be here shortly. But I had to, I worked today and then I had to eat and then I had to make the stream and then yeah, you get it. But yeah, Nessie should be joining us pretty soon. But today, excuse me, we're going to be talking about world building, specifically how to world build religions. And, let's have it set off the top. And I've probably said this in my other world building stuff. I am not the expert. I've just done it for a long time and I've seen things that work and I've seen things that don't work. And yeah, but if you're interested in world building for your own setting, I mean, again, I am specifically sort of looking at this through the lens of wanting to play something like Dungeons and Dragons. I have homebrewed my own world and I've played in others. Oh, excuse me. Oh, there's Nessie.
Hey, hey guys.
So that was my mistake. I just flat forgot to post the link, and here you are. I sat down at 15 till to post that link, and at 5 o'clock, I was like, why is Nessie not here yet? Oh, because I never actually posted it. I copied the link. Anyway, hi, buddy.
Hi. Yeah, well, I'm here now.
Yeah,
So,
so I was just kind of doing the intro. We're going to be talking about religion and world building. And so, I just want to say off the top, I am no expert. But, there are certain things you'll want to think about, things you'll want to consider when you're doing it for your own setting.
yes.
Um, so, in a manner, so let's just go off the top and say there's an easy route, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that is you either port over the sort of divine beings that D&D has already made and you can just integrate them into your own game world. That's what Matt Mercer did with Exandria.
Mm-hmm.
He's got all the Forgotten Realms gods in his setting, but they are just flavored for his world. Like Pelor is the Dawn Father and God, what's her name? The
Maura.
Everlight
Yeah.
is one of the
Sarah and
major.
Ray.
Yeah, Saren Ray is the Everlight. And that's plenty easy to do,
And
and that requires
even,
very little effort on your part. And to be honest, like that's a perfectly legitimate approach to your world building. But we're gonna take that idea, we're gonna say it out loud, and then we're gonna put it aside because you're not really building anything yourself if you do that.
right.
Um, Hold on,
But on the upside,
answer. I want to answer Cece's question. Speaking of D&D, have you heard of a book series called Malazan? It's supposed to have started as a D&D game. It's hella interesting. I have not, but I am not somebody who reads a lot. I'm slightly dyslexic, and so I just have trouble extracting joy from it. But maybe if I could find like an audiobook of it, that would be cool. But I haven't heard of it. No, unfortunately. But yeah, there's a recommendation for everyone. Malazan.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Um,
that's another good place to draw inspiration, for religion in your world is, you know, pickpocket it off of or base it off of maybe another series that you may have enjoyed reading because
or,
a lot of
or
people have already done the heavy lifting for you.
right, or established real world mythologies. There's nothing that says you can't have Marduk and Zoroaster and Enkidu,
Hmm.
and Zeus in your games if that's what you want to do. But like we're talking about this really early because that's not really doing the world building per se. You know, I feel like if you take something that's established outside of D&D and try to bring it in, you do have a little
Mhm.
more legwork to do, to sort of like think about how they would interact with the game world. Um,
Right.
and that is actually going to bring me to one of my first points. What a god is and is not is going to mean something different to literally everyone based on your own understanding of the definition of the word, your own religious and spiritual leanings. Like, it's going to color what you think that word even means. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So bear that in mind, and also understand that at least in a classic D&D setting, gods are real. Their existence can be verified. There are places where they dwell that you can actually physically go to in
Hmm.
the game. So, like, Barry, now that's not something I do in a lot of my games. My gods are very hands off. Like, they keep their power in their realm for the most part. They give small pieces of their power to people who would act as their agents in this world, but even it's like their designs, their ideas for what they want to be happening in this world, like they have bigger fish to fry, if you will. They're gods, you know. They can't be necessarily projecting their power in 1,000 places simultaneously. Um, so, like, if you want to think about sort of the Judeo-Christian God being, that is not what D&D gods are, and for the most part, I think you would be pretty poorly served by trying to make a god that was meant to be truly omniscient and omnipotent.
Right.
I think that you would try, because like then you have to answer the tough philosophical questions. There's a verifiable real God. Why does the world suck? You know, my answer to that in my own game world is the gods are extremely powerful, but not infinitely so. You know, maybe they can project their mind into 10 places at once, but that's that's still pretty limiting in the end, you know?
Yeah. And I have like this thought that, gods are more of like, say, archetypes of thoughts and things and beliefs that, humanity has because humanity, we create the gods. This is our belief in them, is what empowers them. So having a fallible set of archetypes that is relatable to other, lower, less powerful beings or what have you, but also at the same time having powers, uh, and I use that in a capital P, powers, like entities that are more powerful than gods, and they are just the kind of like the things that the gods would have to answer to.
That idea does exist in
Mm.
certain places.
Yes.
So, and again, this comes down to what is the definition of a god?
Yeah.
Um, to me, a god is something that can create something out of nothing. But I think even the way that they're traditionally portrayed in a D&D style game, they're not
Mhm.
really making something out of nothing. They're
No.
reshaping something that is already there. Um,
Yes.
Now, there is also the suggestion of this being called Ao, which is sort of the over god of the gods
Mhm.
in the forgotten or in like mainline D&D lore. Uh,
Right.
and I
I know.
do believe Ao is the one that can create true something out of nothing. All of the rest of the gods can change what
Reshape.
is, but yes, reshape,
Cannot create.
but cannot create.
In
cannot
a like
truly.
a good comparison would be like in the Tolkien universe. There's Eru Iluvatar, who is the master, the creator,
Mhm.
that which brings into being. And then the Valar were those and Maiar that are created to serve are but like partial aspects of
Yes,
like
but
the
like,
overarching
don't
divine
get it
being.
twisted. They're powerful,
They are powerful, yes,
exceedingly
absolutely.
so. They can do. They
Without,
can reshape reality, but they cannot
yes,
create something
cannot
from nothing.
create. Yes,
It's like
the
that.
spark.
What's the joke? Guy goes up to God and says, a scientist goes up to God and says, "We did it. We figured it out. We can create a man from nothing. We have figured like where you made Adam. We can do it now." And God says, "Okay, cool. Show me." And the guy is like, gets some water and gets some calcium and gets some this and gets some that, and then he brings in a big jar of dirt. And God is like, "No, no, 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 no. You got to bring your own dirt."
Yeah, I made this dirt.
Right. So yeah, like that is something if you're going to do world build your own religion, that is something you have to grapple with. For me, in my game world, those beings exist, but they're so beyond, they are as far beyond the gods' comprehension as the gods are beyond ours.
Hmm.
And, you know,
Yes.
like, but the gods are actual beings. They are not native to our plane of existence, but they are sort of responsible, if you will, for peopling the like main universe, if you will, with humans and dwarves and elves. That's why you have different gods for dwarves and elves and humans, because different gods created them and put them out into the multiverse, so to speak. Um, so yeah, like answering those questions is important. What are the how powerful are they? What are their limitations?
Hmm.
What do they
What
fear? And
what
and
are the what are the stories that are told about them?
right,
Like establishing like the cohesive mythology is a way of where it's a world building tool in itself
right.
because
History and religion is a great world building tool because it establishes the culture, and which is also, like that's why this is episode 3 of the world building series. 1 was history, 2 was culture, 3 is religion.
Mhm.
They feed each other. And the thing
Yes,
is, I don't sit down to world build religion. I sit down to world build and I look at a
world build.
geographic region and I'm like, okay, what's cool about this place? What sucks about this place? You know, um, so when I'm going to start using a few more examples from my own world building, and this was in
Mhm.
like I love the Faith of the Four. Okay, I love it, which is the
Mhm.
main sort of. You've seen the map I've put up in my previous ones, the Iandros map, the sort of like where I've done most of my regional world building. The Faith of the Four is the dominant religion there, and and it's the Faith of the Four because it's 4 distinct individual gods
Entity.
who disagree with each other sometimes, but like in all the religious scriptures, they always manage to come to a consensus. So
Right.
it's a polytheism that is kind of a monotheism because the disagreements between the gods don't play out like a normal disagreement. They play out like a Socratic argument where people trade ideas until they've reached the truth. Because I love
So true.
Socrates, because I love Socrates, and I wanted to pay homage to the Socratic method.
That's
Um,
so great.
Socrates. I also was like, okay, there's 4 of them. 4 is a number that
Hmm.
you can chop up. There are
Yeah.
a lot of things that are 4s. And so that led me down the road of like, what are 4 things that I can chop into 4 groups and hand out 1 to each god? And so every one of the gods has an association with one of the 4 classic elements: earth, air, fire, and water. They each have
Hmm.
association with a cardinal direction, north, south, east, and west. They each have an
Mm-hmm.
association with
Season.
season, a time of day, noon, midnight, dawn.
Mm-hmm.
They and because they each have like a season associated with them, like
Mm-hmm.
the mid-season celebrations celebrate that god, whereas the sort of like changing season ones are they're still holy days, but they're lesser holy days because they're not about one god, they're about a transition.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so like I was just like, what can I cut into 4 pieces and hand out to everything? And like,
Lots of things.
guess what? You got 4 fingers.
But it's the
Okay,
thumb that's the most important.
but the thumb, you say?
Yeah, but what about the
So
thumb? That's
mild spoilers for some of you. I believe Kartik,
there's
if he's in the chat, I thought I saw Kartik in the chat.
there's a
If not,
secret fifth god that we don't
probably
know about.
it's like 5 a.m. for him. He's in India now. But at any rate, there's a secret fifth god, the lost sister.
Mm-hmm. The lost one?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
I
lost,
figured it out.
the lost sister. She's yeah,
Mhm. It's the lost sister.
the lost sister.
Aww, that's
Yeah,
so
but that's like
sad.
that's actually like a story element in a major campaign of mine. So it is
Hmm.
what it is, you know.
But that's contributing to the mythology. That's telling the story of the lost sister and why she's lost. Why is she
Well,
called the lost sister?
nobody even knows about her. She's truly like a forgotten god by all but an extremely small group of people who are dedicated to bringing her back because she's probably the best of like my 4 gods. But I made a banner. There you go.
Oh, okay. Let's
Tenebra,
see.
the goddess of mercy. Galorian, the goddess of protection. Marthan, the god of industry. And Garvis, the god of knowledge. I'm gonna let that scroll for a while. But like these 4 together built a new civilization. And what I would argue is the sort of quote unquote best civilization in the world. Not the most advanced, not the richest, but the sort of like from a moralistic and ethical point of view, it's trust me,
Mm.
it's better to live in Iandros than almost anywhere else. There's no slavery there. The gods hate that. You
Mhm.
know,
It's a diverse group of.
it's culturally diverse. People are like it's like gender expression, sexual orientation. None of that's
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
Right?
it's very cosmopolitan.
It is.
Mhm. So yeah, it's better to live there than it is anywhere else that we found so far.
Right. But a lot of that is because these are the gods they bring. These
Yes.
are their gods. They
These are the ideas that the people who are living there feel are important.
the 4 most important things to them are mercy, protection, being like, and that applies not just to your family, but to your community as well.
Hmm.
Hard work, i.e., industry, and
Industry.
then knowledge and wisdom. And because these 4 gods have to cover a wide variety of things, like uh, there's a life cycle for them as well. So Sinefra is young.
Hmm.
Galorian is a young adult. Marthan is middle aged. Garvis is very old. And by extension, Garvis is a god of death. Not like a Grim Reaper type, but like
No, the
but like
transition
the
between
one
life
that
and
guides you
unlife.
to death. And then like when the winter turns into spring and he hands off, sort of like ownership of which
Hmm.
god is in charge, he hands it off to who? Sinefra, the goddess of mercy, who is also a child of like a goddess of childhood and rebirth
Innocence.
and spring.
rebirth. Yeah.
Right. And Marthin, a god of industry, but he's also the god of earth, like earth element. He
Hmm.
is also the god of like
Harvest.
harvest. He's the god of autumn.
Hmm. Bounty, things coming to fruition.
And by extension, he is also a god of nature. Garvis is a god of knowledge, wisdom. It makes sense. Where do we get wisdom from? Our elders. He's the
Elders.
eldest.
We
His
acquire
associate
it
is
with
winter.
time.
His associate is winter. He's a god of death. He's also a god of magic because magic is an expression of like of
Knowledge.
knowledge and wisdom. Uh,
But these four are the gods that are worshipped in this worship and control or and interact with this one
I would say
place.
control is not the
There
right word.
are, yeah,
Influence.
I didn't influence,
Influence is the
yeah.
right word because, like, to me, all right. Let's turn this into game terms for a moment, okay?
Hmm.
So the fact that the goddess of mercy is also a goddess of healing and of childbirth and of those things, like you can play her as a life domain cleric
Hmm.
or a light domain cleric.
Hmm.
You can play the goddess of protection as a forge domain cleric, as a light domain cleric, as a grave domain, war domain. Uh, you can play a cleric of the god of industry, as a nature cleric, as a life cleric, as a grave domain cleric. The same is true of
Hmm.
Garvis. You could play him as a grave domain cleric, as a also
Hmm.
uh, both Sinefra and Marthin, associated with Dawn and Dusk, make great Twilight domain clerics.
Hmm. Yeah, it's all in how you flavor the aspect
Right.
because
So
they can cover so
that,
many things.
that means if you play a cleric in my game world, in Iandros specifically, like it
Hmm.
doesn't matter what domain you are, you can still be a Faith of the Four cleric.
Hmm. Because some aspect of that faith is going to be reflected in
Right.
the domains.
And I also kind of interpret it like your ability to do magic as a cleric in D&D, at least as far as I am concerned, comes not from like the god continually being like, my eye is always on you. No, I have
Hmm.
determined that you are somebody who believes in the things that I hold dear. I've put my hand on you and given you a gift. I'm
Yes.
trusting you to do the right thing with it.
Yes.
And then I'm probably not paying a whole lot of attention the rest of the time. I can only have my focus in so many places at once. But if you do come to my attention for good or bad reasons, like I might actually show up. And, Tony Stark in Spider-Man Homecoming, where, he steps out of the Iron Man suit in front of, like, if you cared, you'd actually be here. And then, boom, he's actually there and he's all intimidating in your face. It's good shit, by the way. But, yeah, so, like, my gods are real beings, but getting to and from real heaven takes real effort on their part. And, how many, even if you're Blood Raven with 1,000 eyes in one, there are millions of people. You can't be watching them all the time. There are millions of people.
That's why you have more than one of them, so they can keep an eye on each other.
And one of the things I wanted to do when because I wanted Iandros, I wanted a narrative reason for Iandros to be a good place, in general. And your character, Nessie, has traveled the world
Oh yeah,
and you've seen other religions and, you know, they're okay. Some of them not as much.
right.
Uh,
There wasn't so far. We haven't encountered anything that is so foreign that is to be, out of. I just can't. We just can't uh,
right.
fathom it. Um, but it's all been somewhat familiar, but different and
But like
different flavors.
If you go east from Iandros, you end up in the grassland, the plains, the great green scene where the Jesk live, and
Yeah.
they their religion is like very complex. Actually, it's sort of like a three-tiered religion with like nature spirits at the bottom. They revere them,
Mm.
but they don't worship them. And then
Right.
above that is sort of like your ancestors, you know,
Okay.
which are not exactly worshipped, but like more revered than nature spirits are your ancestors. And then at the very tippy top are their gods, but their gods
Powers.
also like very naturalistic. Like they have a sky god and an earth goddess, and that's Father Sky, Mother Earth, Air, Earth. Um, but their interpretation of like the four elements is that fire and water are the gifts that the sky god gave to the earth mother to help things grow. The sun being, or the fire being the sun, as well as like if you have a
Fire.
if you have a fire, things grow back even better.
Yeah.
It's
Especially in
part,
like a grassland savanna area like that.
right
That's
where they
a
live.
natural part of the cycle of
And then the gifts that the father gives the mother allow her to, you know, to give birth to other gods, like grass. Grass is a goddess.
hmm I
Every
can see
blade of
that.
grass is a goddess. Not a different one. Every blade of grass is the grass goddess. Every mountain is the mountain god. And these are all the children of the earth and the sky. And like they have stories about like how
Like how the
uh,
river was created or
yeah,
um,
and the mountain god wishes he could reach his father, but he can't. But he's always
mhm.
reaching for his father. But he, you know, his duty is it's not his place in the world. And like they have stories about teaching your place in the world based on, you know, what is the grass and the river and the mountain. And like, but they are real gods. Those beings really do exist. Um, Probably not in the same place as the gods of Iandros, but they're real. Because for me, all the other D&D gods, they also exist, just they don't care about this planet. You know, they're
right. That's not their planet.
busy with the forgotten realms, man.
Yeah, they're on Toro or
Yeah,
whatever it
exactly.
is.
Or
Like
Dragonlance or whatever.
Exandria, Kren,
Exactly.
Mistara. Thank you for Potter. He's in the chat.
Mystara doesn't
Even
have gods.
Mistara.
Mystara doesn't have gods, and that's because they were trying to dodge the satanic panic bullet.
Yeah, so they have
Immortals,
immortals. Yeah,
which are which are sort of like normal people
superheroes.
who have gone so superhero that they're gods now.
hmm They're gods. They're yeah, but that's one way of handling it, and that makes you, as the little first level lowly ant on the board, say one day with enough practice and gold pieces, I too can ascend
I
to
too can
godhood.
ascend to immortality and divine power.
Yes, it just takes enough gold.
And
That's
you
all
know
you
what?
have to have.
You know what? That's a perfectly legitimate answer for that setting. You know, we're talking about world building. When they sat down to make it, they were like, we don't want gods. How do we
hmm
have holy people? Well, they're not true. They're not sort of born out
They're
of,
heroes.
they're heroes.
They're
They
heroes.
just kept leveling up. You know,
Yep.
they found a cheat code or a
hmm
mod in order to beat the level cap. So the game caps you at 20, and they're like, I got to level
Nah.
30. I'm a level 36, you know.
Yeah. They just got to there and they said, "Meh, I don't think so."
They got a cheat code.
Yeah.
But like it's a perfectly legitimate way to answer that question. And it lets you have some really interesting gods too. Like Mystara
hmm
is a wild ass setting to me. Um, I think it does some things really great and some things not so great. Like
Hmm.
I feel like it has a tendency to go fantasy Japan, fantasy France, fantasy whatever. There's probably
Yeah.
fantasy Africa that was problematic back when it was first realized or first thought of.
So, mhm.
But you know, uh, I'm
but
sure.
but
You,
it did create the five shires,
but it did create the five shires. Yeah.
which if there's a paradise on earth, that's probably it. But yeah, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of so much
Just
world
file out the
building.
serial numbers. You got it, man. But again, like I'm of the mind that if you steal from one source, it's plagiarism. If you steal from 100, it's inspiration, which is
Yeah.
like kind of my approach to world building in general. I don't want to one for one something into my game world. And, the closest I actually get sneakily sometimes when I make like world maps, or not world maps, city scale maps,
Mhm.
I'll
Yeah.
take the map of a real city and go from there. So Thorfinn is like
Oh,
that.
interesting.
Sorfin is like that. Like Sorfin is Dallas with the freeways
Ah,
turned into rivers because it sits at the like where two rivers come
yeah.
together. Well, guess what? Right there on the south side of Dallas, two rivers come together. So and then like Reunion Tower, you were there, Nessie, for
Hmm.
HereBeCon in Dallas, the
Yeah.
big microphone looking tower in Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the red tower in Sorfin.
Oh, wow.
The
Yeah.
awesome the awesome aquarium in Sorfin
Hmm.
is
Hmm. Hmm.
located where the awesome aquarium is located in Dallas. So it
Nice.
and
And
the reason that's helpful is because nobody remembers everything all the time. Like, but it helped me have a good layout for my roads that wasn't just I mean, there are parts of Dallas that are very square. There are parts that are very not. And like that feels like different eras of construction, which for an old city it should have. Dallas is not a
right.
super old city, but it has grown in like spurts and stuff. And
Yeah, but somewhere like Richmond, Virginia, or
yeah,
even DC. DC is an old city for the
hmm
United States, and it's kept its flavor, its setup. It's we were talking, Emma and I were discussing this while we were there because it's set up on like a, it's not set up on a grid. It's set up like on a spoke pattern where you have like the capital and then the roads just start spoking out from
hmm
it.
yeah.
And
DC
a
was
lot of
a
the older
wild.
cities
DC was a city that was planned from the beginning.
planned from the beginning. There are laws in place so that the skyline is never above, I think, 13 stories is the limit. So you're never going to get like those massive skyscrapers and skylines in our capital like you could see
Boy, there
in,
ain't that limit in Dallas.
yeah, yeah.
And I
So,
was like, how do I reconcile skyscrapers when I'm trying to translate it to my city? And you know what I did? I was like, big park,
yeah, big park.
big park.
Should have green space.
But it helped me to remember to have places that like served food, did health care.
Hmm.
A police station became a guard post, fire brigade center. Re- having
Hmm.
those things makes your city feel more lived in. We're off track of religion a little bit here, but like
But
I
you
find
could
it
plop
much
down
better.
the
Yeah,
first.
Trish was saying file off the serial numbers, and yeah, I think you do that by layering things on top of it.
Right.
By taking your inspiration from several different places and making an interesting new
Hmm.
mush out of that.
Hmm.
And you're not going to get it right every time.
Yeah. Like, do you remember the adventure that I ran for you? The little one shot with the Dalmatians and daggers that I ran for you guys, where you had to break somebody
Yeah, we had to break somebody
out of the dog pound. Yeah, that was ripped straight out of the our local dog animal control building
right?
here. They've got a brand new center. And I was like, yeah, I could just see it. It was easier. I could just see it in my head. I knew where things should be and how it was supposed to work. And you guys, yeah, I just ran you guys through a familiar place to me. So you can rip straight out of
Yeah, I
reality
mean,
if you like,
you will find
you
that
know.
very useful when you're doing sort of like the detail work.
Hmm.
But like for my religions, you know, so full disclosure, I am not a particularly religious person.
Right.
That's a lie. Quiet you. I forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb there. Um, to say I'm not particularly religious isn't exactly true. I am zero religious, like not at all. I've got science brain. I don't, not going to begrudge anybody their personal beliefs, but I'm an atheist. But
Mhm.
in D&D, it's different. Those beings are real. You can commune with them. I have players roll religion checks sometimes when they're trying to seek holy guidance. And if they roll well enough, yeah, guess what? They're going to get it. Now, it's not often, but like if somebody wants to play into that aspect of their character, yeah, the gods really are real. Like
Mhm.
that is not in question in a D&D setting. Like they are verifiably real. People have real magic. There's no escaping that fact. But that doesn't mean that everybody reveres the gods the same way. I would say it's very hard to play an atheist in D&D.
I was just about, that was my very next question. How difficult would it be to play an atheist? Or play an atheist cleric for that matter. I don't believe in,
Like I would be really interested to see how somebody would try to pull it off. Like because that would be like, I mean, to as somebody who very much believes in
hmm
like science, that's like me, like a flat earther to me, you know, a flat earther who wants to circumnavigate the globe with me. If you're trying to play an atheist cleric, but
hmm
you know, hey, who am I to say? I will say one of the ideas that I had for a cleric, not that he's a non-believer, but that he's like, I don't want magical god powers. I just want to sit at home
hmm
and play Mario Kart. You know, I
hmm
don't want this life, but like somehow, like he can't not. He keeps getting
Yeah,
dragged in.
it
Sometimes
keeps
he's
showing
running.
up.
Right. And he literally has the magical god powers given to him. But then
hmm
I don't want it.
Uh, I don't want it. Shut up, you will soon. But um, yeah, you could. That's a very interesting concept to play the Wafala.
That's in reference to this joke.
Oh,
Yeah.
Waffle House.
Yeah, James Holden. Exactly. Like
Yeah.
he's got he's got Miller. He doesn't want Miller
Nope.
in his brain, but he's like,
He didn't ask for it, but
what am
here
I gonna
you
do?
are.
Ignore Miller? I can't, literally can't. He won't leave me alone. That would be a fun cleric character. But again, to play a true atheist would be very difficult because you would be denying verifiable reality. On the other hand, there are bound to be a lot of people who just look at the gods and go, they've never done shit for me.
It's for me. Exactly.
And
How
so,
can I
like,
believe in something that I can't? I haven't experienced. You know.
right.
Or maybe it's not that you believe in God, but you're more of a philosopher. You don't believe in gods, but you believe in the power of, say, positive thinking.
And I want to come kind of a little bit full circle. Oh, hey, John. I
Hi,
just noticed
John.
John popped in. Hey, buddy. It's always nice to see you. But like, we're talking about world building your own religion, and we talked at the very beginning about like some of the shorthands. I urge you, do not port real world modern day religions into your D&D game. Do not do it. You will regret it.
You regret
I
that.
I have seen a couple of people who, oh hey buddy, how you doing?
Hey,
You want to come braid my hair?
you want to come braid Steven's hair?
Yes, of course.
Except it's gone.
Well, I mean, we could put a kind of braid in it.
Right? How about the beard? There's enough there to braid.
You use some Viking braids in your beard.
Yeah. But anyway, what were we talking about? I got distracted.
Yeah, sorry about that. For everybody who doesn't know, this is my daughter Caitlin. She popped by today to help her crippled old mother do some. She came home to do chores today. I thought that was pretty cool. So
Yeah, that's very nice of her. Thank you, Caitlin, for helping out your mom.
Yeah, just being a good daughter. That's what you do.
Well, like I help take care of my mom too. So
yeah, I'm sure that your mom appreciates everything that.
I hope so.
You do
She seems
throughout.
to.
Yeah,
If she doesn't, I'll,
that's right.
drop the elbow on her.
Drop the elbow.
For me, I'm violent like that.
I know. I've seen you, man. You
Oh, I keep popping into there. I'm just trying to look at your background
Oh
But
yeah, this is my imaginary living room.
with the baby grand piano in the back.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, don't you like mine?
I do. Was that San Rexy art?
No,
Actually,
this is old channel logo art. Oh, I kind of want a new one. I kind
Yeah,
of
'cause
want
it
a
looks-
new one with the compass replaced with a D20. But
Ooh,
otherwise similar,
yeah, yes,
It is my color.
yeah. It is her favorite color.
It's not my favorite color, but like it's in the like
It's the
The
palette.
wheelhouse.
The
color I
wheelhouse.
very much love, and I like it because my favorite color is too dark to make a good logo.
Right.
It's too dark of a green. This turquoise pops really well, and it's the shading is still light enough that you can see it. Anyway, I love this logo.
It's served us well.
It's for years now. 4 years?
4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, Stev, whenever that is.
Yeah, it's like around now.
Yeah. Hey.
I think it's December, but yeah, it's getting close. It'll be 4 years.
Because we started going, pretty smooth or pretty steady when the Expanse was announced for the fourth season, and that was going to start at the beginning of the year. So we were like going through the.
I'm pretty sure the channel, like I rebranded and you and John came on
Mhm.
in December of 2019.
Okay. I
Like
just
maybe in the first week of December. Anyway, that's another sidetrack.
yeah. But
Totally lost the plot now. I have no clue what we were talking about before. Something to do with, oh yes, do not bring real world religion into your game. Don't
do not do that.
I have seen a couple of people try, and it always is awkward. People don't want, because it's one of those like, don't bring real world politics into your game either.
Exactly.
Because you're just asking for somebody, and because those are things that people have deep seated beliefs in. So, like, and the thing is, if you're putting it into D&D, you're sort of like taking the question mark out of faith. As somebody who has studied religion, I grew up going to church. I'm an atheist, yes, but I wasn't always. Like, part of the crux of faith is not knowing for sure. And when you do that, real world religion just doesn't function in the same way anymore. And I, for one, don't want to offend my players by saying something out of turn, even unintentionally, about a religious belief that I'm not really that up on.
Yeah. No real world religions, no real world politics.
And like,
That's
don't
for the
copy,
real world. We're in
don't
our
copy your,
fantasy world.
don't copy your cultures one for one.
Yeah, don't do
Because
that.
like when I was world building a certain other place, I wanted all the animal races to be there, right? But I also had to make sure like that any of the inspirations that I'm pulling from the real world, and there are some, I needed to be careful that I didn't portray the society as they're all animals. You know, they're just, or they're lesser life forms, they're lesser people. I was very conscious of that while I was world building.
Yeah.
All of this, you know. You know, if I want to take, I'm just going to say India as an example, and I want to draw out aspects of Indian history and culture and religious beliefs and sort of apply them to some of the world building I'm doing. Well, I need to make sure I'm being respectful to that sort of source material. I don't know what better to call it, but also like because in Panu Kapuri, it is where cat people and and bird people and goats. You met an elephant dude, a frog person, boar people. Like they have a lot of different, we'll say, beast races, or sort of like beast hybrid races. That's just that their gods put them there. You know,
it was the best place for them.
it was the best place for them, and it doesn't make. But like I was trying to be very conscious of the fact that when I was taking details from real world religions and cultures to describe their religion and culture, that it didn't portray it as like these are just they're savages. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
You gave them real culture, real history.
I don't want to have an insensitive reflection on Indian culture or Korean culture or, you know, indigenous American culture, wherever I'm pulling my inspiration from. So like when it comes to religion, be sensitive about, and again, if you're writing a book, it's different. There are different rules for that. But like people in a D&D RPG care about the gods. I promise you they do. Not all of them, but somebody does. Like in almost every game I run, there's at least one player that wants that lore, that wants to know what the gods are like.
Yes, it's like for me, I'm probably that person in Emerald team that has been like, give me all of your story. We want your stories.
Give me the lore, please. Give me the lore.
Give me the lore. We gonna write this stuff down, you know.
Yeah. So, but like, so I just want to touch. We've only got a few minutes left before we're going to wrap it up for the day. Yeah. But I did want to touch on like the Faith of the Four real quick. So, like, Sinafra is the goddess of mercy, but like some people will call her Sinefra the Gentle, or some people call her the Weeping Lady. And while her primary association, like you will say the goddess of mercy, but she is also a god of love and healing and loyalty. She's associated with the element of water, the direction of east, which is the rising sun. She's also kind of a rising sun dawn goddess. Spring, she's got an association with a waxing half moon. And she is sort of like gold is her color. Um, or gold is her metal, yellow is her color. Then you've got Galorian. Some people call her the Shield Maiden. Some people call her Bright Flame. She's often depicted with a flaming flail, like
Nice.
like the head of her flail glows so bright you can't actually see what it is. Like it might be a star. You know what I mean? Do not stare directly into the flail. But her associations are protection. I mean, people would call her the goddess of protection, but by extension, martial prowess, duty, parenthood, and a lot of mothers will pray to Galorian. And if you don't understand that, you've clearly never seen a mama bear and protect her cub.
Yeah, mother
But
anything. Yeah.
her association is fire. Why? Because fire is passionate, and it's like it's active in a way that even air and water aren't.
It brings change.
Yes. Her direction is south. Imagine that, where the sun lingers. Her seasonal association is summer. Makes sense with fire. Also,
Yeah.
military campaigns generally happen during the summer. She is a goddess of the noontime sun or of the full moon as well. Um, her color is like a bright crimson. Her metallic association is bronze. And like all of this means stuff together too. Just going to run through Marthan and Garvis real quick. Marthan, also known as Green Good or the Harvester, is a god of hard work and industry, but he's also a god of agriculture and diligence and nature. He's an earth god. His direction is west, where the setting sun is. He's an autumn god. Harvest, obviously. Dusk is his time of year, a waning half moon. He represents like being an elder or being like a full adult, middle aged. He's got he's got sort of like a green color that he goes, which, if you've ever seen oxidized copper, you know exactly the green I'm talking about. Why? Because his metal association is copper.
Yeah.
And this is not all stuff that came together overnight either. Like, I had to work at this and move things around and think of like, what's 4 things and where does it most make sense to put it, you know? But like, in the end, I can go back and add things to them that are not easily divided into 4, but that I can make associations with based on the other things that I've already done. Like, none of these colors like you don't divide colors into 4 sections.
No.
But like gold, yellow, bronze, red, copper, green. Garvis, he's the brass, but he's also royal blue. There's less like clear association there, but you know, when I've got yellow, red, and green, what's left? Kind of like blue is a really good choice there. But Garvis is often called the Star Seeker or the Spirit Guide. He is a god of knowledge, but also of leadership and responsibility, as well as truth and magic. His elemental association is air, north. Winter is his sort of like seasonal association, midnight, and the new moon. Again, like he walks he is not evil, not by any means. As a matter of fact, he might be one of the most, he's very gentle, he's very understanding, he's almost grandfatherly, but like,
I would also.
you've got child, you've got parent, you've got grandparent. He is the next step beyond that, but those are ancestors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would also give him the like aspect or like the North Star, which is like
Mm-hmm.
guidance, and it's always a constant
Mm-hmm.
um, where you can always count on it.
Yeah,
It's
I can see that. I haven't given star associations. Stars are something else entirely in my cosmology.
yeah, but
Generally
that
speaking,
idea of the pole
stars
star,
are ascended heroes.
the, okay.
But like, I love it
Maybe that was
because
his
his
favorite hero.
association is like it makes perfect sense, and maybe they call it like. I mean, I haven't done that world building, but I can name my North Star Garvis's champion. You
Yeah,
know,
there you go.
I love it.
His champion.
I love
Hey,
it.
we just made some lore.
You did.
Yay! And you guys were here to see it.
You guys watched it happen live on air. Well, I could honestly probably even do a part two of this at some point in the future because
Yeah.
we didn't talk that much about other religions like the elves, the dwarves, about
Mhm.
other regions of my game world, like the gods of Kethmaria, who suck, by the way, or the region called Cormash, which
Yeah,
has
Formosh.
hundreds of gods. Like,
Saturation of
yeah,
gods.
like it has an overabundance, like thousands of gods.
Like, they
Like,
really get into their religion.
right,
Like,
there is a god of blueberry bushes. You know what I mean?
well,
It's like that level. Every stream, every river, every big
everything.
hill has its own god. Every city has its own pantheon that represents, like, yeah.
Yeah, lots of stuff. Yeah. But you'd think that of like the classical world or a reflection of like classical Greece and Rome and
But turned up to 11.
yeah, but turn it right up to 11.
Yeah, more gods than you know what to do with.
Can't swing a dead cat without hitting a god.
Hitting two of them. All right, y'all. Well, that's an hour, Nessie, or close enough. It makes no difference. And our good friend Sanrixian is about to start streaming over on Twitch. And today they're doing a celebration of Emily's birthday. And I love me some Emily, and I love me some Sandry. So you guys know I gotta cut out, and I gotta go watch that stream. And if I see you there, that's awesome. And if I don't, you know what it is. Peace. And be excellent to each other. Oh, what are we doing next, Nessie? Are you off next week?
I am off indefinitely at this point until they figure out what's going on with my.
Great. Well, we'll be back at you next week with something else. What was the other thing we thought we might do this week? But I called an audible and they said we're going to do religion instead because we've done history and culture,
economics, trade, or we could do religion part 2. We could do mythology.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
All right, cool. Well, everyone, thanks for being here live. We had pretty good viewership the whole time. Nessie, I love you, buddy. I will see you. If I don't see you between now and then, I'll see you tomorrow night for D&D.
Yes.
And
we're going to go and
so for real this time, peace
peace.
and be excellent to each other.